Hello, we're going to talk today about the next project, and it is for the visual storytelling. In this project we're creating a sort of a comic book-like page, and that's how we'll be presenting a story, whether fiction or nonfiction. And you can get all that information in the actual document for this project. If you take a look at your email, that information would have been sent to you already. What I want to do in this video is go through some of the storytelling bits, and the first section of the deliverables is the idea development. And this is the kind of work that I want to see done in your sketchbook. So the first item here is come up with some story ideas and then choose a topic. So if I go to my sketchbook here, one of my ideas was to possibly do a motorcycle trip. Not too long ago I went on a ride with my my dad and my brothers, and we got some pictures from that, so I could use the photos to create my page. If this was the story. I could actually have photographs of me riding my motorcycle. And maybe this is a nice one of the road with some trees. We were riding out in the country and it was really nice. Pretty clouds. But probably what I'm going to do is my walk to school. Doesn't sound as exciting, but it would be easier for me to set up because I also have photos of this one. And it's somewhere that I could go back and take some new photos. Now I did take some photos today, actually, or actually yesterday. If we look at this album. So this might be some of the things that you would see on this walk. Some of it is along the streets, and some of it is through Frick Park. So you can see the trail here. So this one might be easier to do. Alright, so that takes care of my story idea. So what about an outline of key story points or events? Well, I actually had some sketched out in my my real physical sketchbook. And let's outline those here. So we're not going to do that one. So let's look at the story events. And what I mean by story events, when you're talking about any sort of narrative, you sort of have this let's get some space here. If this is the timeline, and if your story's starting here, it might build up to some areas of interest and finally peak at the climax of the story or the main event, and then sort of play down as it comes to the end of the story. So this would be the climax event. This might be the intro of the story. So you might have another story event you can cover here and another along here. And the requirement is 5 to 7 panels, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possible areas that we could illustrate on our comic book page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I can't count, so let's make this last one much larger, right? And you notice how we got a nice long, larger panel here for the main event of the story, the climax. So that also makes sense, but we can talk about that again later. All right, so what am I going to choose for these? Well, let's see. The first story event would be, where am I starting from? So it could be, my home in Swissvale. Item number 2 could cover perhaps the walking down commercial. And this, the significance of this is that, I'm leaving Swissvale and heading into the Frick area. There's lots of trees and forest. It's quite a transition. The third story item might be the actual Frick Park trail. And there's actually a waterfall along that trail that I get to see. It's very nice. So this might be the highlight. Maybe not. Maybe the highlight might be fourth item, which is Shady Ave, and that is really a killer of a hill. I'm always left breathless when I get to the top. So maybe that is the main point there. And then finally, relief comes when I make it to yeshiva and see all your smiling faces. Yay! Okay, so those are my story events that I've sort of outlined here, and this has not taken very much time, although I have given this some thought previously. And these are all subject to change, but it's another requirement that I can cross off on my list. So I got my story ideas. I now have my story events outlined. Now, we might, I might recommend doing some rough sketches of your key story points, or perhaps going to the script. You don't need to do these in that exact order. For some of you, it might be easier to write the script if there's any dialogue. So when we go back to our sketchbook, what kind of things am I going to be picturing here when I'm leaving my home in Swissvale? What might I do? And one of the ideas was that I would, possible panel idea might be a street sign. And let's see if my perspective is going to hold up here. Wow, that's pretty awful. And usually street signs have those so this might be commercial, and this might be Church Street. And since I don't want to really reveal my exact address, this might be just enough information. And of course, there might be some trees here, maybe a housetop, and let's see, we should add some color, right? So it might be blue sky in here. Alright, so this is one, story item 1. Street sign. Alright, so let's see. Story item 2 is walking down Commercial Street. So the image of this, let's see if we go back to my photo reference. Now, my thinking is I really don't like how these photos turned out. So, let's get back there. So what I might do is use these photos as reference, but we'll see. We'll see how much time I have. It would be kind of nice to sort of redraw these in sort of a sketchy way and make it look more comic book-like. So this is what I'm thinking for number 2. This is Commercial Ave right here. This street. Sorry about that. And the sidewalk, and then you eventually go over here and walk under the bridge and then cross the road. It can get rather busy. So, you know, if we put the road over here and the sidewalk curves around, and then there's like a big bridge going across. This is 376 up here. This bridge. The trail comes off, goes under, and then there's, there's hills and high-rise apartments right there. All right, so that might be 2. But this isn't very nice either. Let's put some housetops up here. We are in a neighborhood. This should have some rooftops. So there's a problem with this idea in that it's not very interesting. Maybe an alternative might be, this has got an interesting angle to it. What if we did something like that for the bridge? If we took, another photo where we're under the bridge more. And let's see, let's get a different tool here, and it's much darker when you're right under the bridge, and it sort of can create an interesting silhouette. And maybe this is the trail that goes back, and there's lots of trees here, and the road is over here on this side, so that might be more interesting. So, optional panel, perhaps. Let's go to, all right, there we go. All right, so we got walking down Commercial, Frick Trail. This is the easy one. The waterfall is clearly the feature, and if you remember the photos, I do have a photo of that, and you can't really see it in this photo, so I need to get a better shot of this, or I really need to do an illustration of it.